Started. First and foremost, we want to welcome everyone to our 2025 Saints Hall of Fame press conference to introduce our class of 2025. I'd like to recognize those responsible for this first and foremost. First of all, our board of directors, some of whom are here today. I want to recognize you and appreciate you and just be acknowledged. Take a bow if you will. We appreciate your hard work in accomplishing everything that we do on an annual basis. I also like to salute and thank our media selection committee, which is very passionate about their jobs, and they do them extremely well. The debates are plentiful, they're spirited, and at the end of the day, they come up with really good solutions, as is the case again today. So all of our media selection committee members, thank you. We also want to remind you, we have our annual events coming up on the Gulf Coast, which take place annually, 10 years running now, including our reception auction at IP Casino Resort tomorrow evening, where we'll have 25 former players, some of our significant front office personnel, and we have food and drink from IP and Super Bowl trophy there, take pictures in the photo booth, silent auction, live auction, everything imaginable. Then we have our golf tournament Friday morning at the Oaks in Pass Christian, really nice course. And then we have our annual night at the Biloxi Shuckers AA baseball game, where all of our guys are introduced on the field, and then they make their way to the concourse and sign autographs and take pictures during the course of the game. And we thank all those responsible there for helping make this happen, particularly Mayor Fofo Gillich and the city of Biloxi, along with the Biloxi Shuckers and IP Casino Resort. And we appreciate each and every one of them. So our committee did a great job once again this year. It's never easy to arrive at names, but this wasn't too hard because the individuals that were selected are people that accomplished much. And we'll start off with the Joe Gemelli Fleur-de-Lis Award. As we have detailed for years now, this is named after maybe the best Saints fan there ever was, a guy that created the Touchdown Club and paid fines for players and gave everybody free suits and everything else imaginable and loved the Saints as no one else has. This award was created about 35 years ago, and it recognizes those who have contributed to the betterment of the New Orleans Saints organization in positive fashion and have done it over an extended period of time. As you look at the honorees on the lists that we have on our website and our release, you'll see that it runs the gamut from pretty much every category imaginable. People that have worked for the organization, people that have contributed, media people, political, the whole 9 yards. You'll find it there, and I think it really does describe exactly what we're talking about. This year when our committee met, there's probably as many as 15 to 20 really good candidates that were there, but it took about 10 seconds perhaps as someone on the media selection committee made a recommendation by acclamation, and we don't disclose votes normally unless they're unanimous. Well, this one was by acclamation. It was pretty easy. Ed Daniels was as good a journalist as you'll find. He spent nearly 5 decades in this marketplace doing his job as well as anyone could, which meant he wasn't always going to be extremely positive about everything. He was going to be honest about what he saw and observed, but he loved the New Orleans Saints. Trust me, we both grew up here. He happened to be my best friend, and we grew up together in high school and college, and we had like lives and circumstances and got into the same industry, and therefore we kind of understood each other better than anyone else. Ed loved the Saints, and he loved covering the Saints. When the opportunity presented itself, he was thrilled when he came back here from Lake Charles after 2 years there at the beginning of the 1980s, and he covered the team every year from there, and he and I were blessed to do play-by-play in color for the Saints broadcasts on radio for 5 years as well, which we enjoyed immeasurably. Ed, of course, left us this past year. We are to this day missing him, and again, I want to salute Gail Benson and the New Orleans Saints. We've done this publicly previously, but the New Orleans Saints stepped up and made sure that Ed could be home and spent quite a bit of money to do it when he was stricken. And I know the family deeply appreciates that, and so do I and everyone associated with his family, because that was a magnanimous gesture that was unnecessary for a guy that sometimes didn't even say the most positive things about the organization. But I think everybody in this organization respected him because they understood that he was honest and he was genuine. And at the end of it all, he just wanted to be fair. He wanted to be completely honest, and he really wanted this team to win, which was the most important thing. Ed can't be with us today, but I do want to, at this time, recognize the person that will accept the award on his behalf. his beloved wife, Robin. She's got family here today. She happens to be very good friends of ours, too, whom we value and treasure deeply. And she's had not the best year, but I think that what she has seen is that through all of these various awards and recognition that her husband has received, I think she's got a pretty decent idea about how he was perceived by everyone. He's being honored by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame in about a week and a half. He's been honored by this organization. He's been honored by high schools left and right. He's got jamborees named after him, stadiums named after him. I don't know when it all ends. We created a scholarship in his name at his high school alma mater at Archbishop Brummel, and Loyola honored him most recently with Hall of Fame induction with myself and Ro Brown, who are here. So other than that, the guy's gotten no accolades whatsoever. And by the way, as I bring up Robin, I think I want to thank the New Orleans Saints as well for honoring him at their home games this year, where they kept his seat vacant and made sure that they recognized him with a special setup at that seat. That also took place at Tulane University, at LSU, and oh, by the way, it happened at the Super Bowl this year in our midst as well, which tells you a lot about the perception of this man. So with that, our Joe Gemelli Fleur de Lis Award winner for 2025, and the induction will actually take place, I want to stress this, in December. Today's just the announcement. The actual induction is in December. Please welcome Miss Robin Daniels. Robin?
Thank you. I'm deeply touched every time we go to one of these things. It's everyone means the same as the last. It's wonderful. I do want to thank the selection committee, everyone that is recognizing Ed today, and especially the Saints and Mrs. Benson. It was a horrible time in Los Angeles, but I got a call from Greg Bensel, and we were able to get Ed home through the generosity of Mrs. Benson. Ed loved the Saints. He loved the Saints so much that he has never missed a training camp. And this last year, he was told that, we're going to send a photographer, but you can't go. You have to stay home and take care of things that are here. Well, Ed wasn't going to have that, so he took his vacation time, and we paid for us to go to the Saints practice facility at what was it, in Los Angeles. So it was kind of like a mini vacation sort of thing planned that, never happened because this happened the first night that we were there. But that's how much the Saints mean to Ed. So thank you, Kenny, for everything, not just for this, for everything. You and Denise have been wonderful friends, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I know Ed is looking down and just very humbled by all of this recognition. So thank you.
I do want to mention that all the honorees will be available for one-on-one interviews following this particular press conference. Our honorees this year for the Hall of Fame are two guys that actually both manned the deep, one in one era, one in another era. And they didn't make many errors. They were both terrific at what they did. The first was part of what I consider to be as good a defense, if not the best defense I've ever seen. And I know a lot of people that covered the team, as I did in those days, would say the same. Because between that time, from 1987 to 1992 or so, the Saints were a really good football team, mired in the wrong conference with some legendary franchises, but they were a winning team consistently, had the first winning season ever, the first playoff appearance ever, and they went on to make the playoffs 4 times in that span of time from 87 through 92. And the primary reason, with all due respect to the offense and to Morton Anderson, who was incredible, was the fact that they had a defense that was off the charts. And if you look at that defense today, Ricky Jackson and Sam Mills are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Pat Swilling was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Vaughn Johnson was the fiercest hitter, 4-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro player that you'd ever find. Up front, you had Jim Wilkes, Saints Hall of Fame. Frank Warren, the late Frank Warren, Saints Hall of Fame. In the deep, you had Dave Waymer, who was the all-time leader in interceptions in franchise history, Saints Hall of Fame. And you had other guys that were really good, Jumpy Geathers and Tony Elliott and Toy Cook, and I could go on Gene Atkins, you name it, they were really good. But they had this other guy playing safety that was an awfully good player, and somehow he managed to get here, even though he was overlooked, so to speak, coming out of college. And the Saints saw the value, brought him in. He spent from 1985 to 1994 here. and he was nearly at 20 interceptions for his career here. He went on to play elsewhere in the NFL. He spent like 14 years in the league. After he departed here, he continued to play at an extremely high level. Very smart. When you talk to Coach Mora, who was his head coach, you get everything you want to get about him. When you talk to his position coach, same thing. You talk to Steve Sidwell, same thing. Unbelievably smart guy, leader, and a glue. And everybody focused on the linebackers, but these guys were so good, and he was one of those. And as I mentioned before, that defense was the best I've seen. And I think the names kind of reflect that too. So we're pleased to announce that our first Saints Hall of Fame inductee for 2025 coming up in December is former New Orleans Saints safety and now coach, Brett Maxey. Brett?
Good afternoon. Man, I'm filled with a lot of emotion right now. You know, it's kind of hard to describe, to be honest with you. Thank you for all the kind words. I really do appreciate it. I really didn't know how this day was going to go. You know, I didn't know if I was going to, you know, break down, if I were going to have an opportunity to, you know, to write some stuff down, you know, because I am a senior, so I do recognize that. And I just want to make sure that I don't forget, you know, a lot of important people that that got me to this point. So, man. You know, today I'm grateful and I'm honored to be part of such a prestigious and admired unity of men. My thanks go out to the Benson family. Also, Ken Trahan, who's the CEO, and what is your title? CEO and general manager. GM's good. Yeah, and general manager of the Saints Hall of Fame. Also the committee. I want to thank you for affording me with the election into the Saints Hall of Fame 2025 class. My family and I are truly excited and privileged to accept my election. I will represent the New Orleans Saints organization and fans and the entire Saints community with the highest of gratitude, respect, and dignity. Ken Trahan's continued efforts over the past several years is something I will be grateful, you know, for the rest of my life. I really do appreciate it. He and I have talked about it time and time again, and man, when I got that call, it was exhilarating. I really do appreciate it. But as I continue my journey as a Christ follower, I often think about, you know, my Louisiana roots. My wife and I, you know, we were born in Texas, so we're Texans. But her father, my mom, and her mom's, or my mom and her father and her mom have deep roots here in the state of Louisiana that spread really from Opelousas to Lafayette to Manny, Louisiana. You guys probably don't know where Manny, Louisiana is. But the thing that I'm really most proud of is, you know, Angela, my wife of 34 years, soon to be 35. We started our family right here in the state of Louisiana, in Metairie, Louisiana. Those two young men right there, Brett II is right now going into his 11th season as an area scout for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm very, very proud of him for his accomplishments. Adam has just started his 8th season and as a Pro Scout. And unfortunately, Adam is in the NFC South as a Pro Scout at the Carolina Panthers. His journey has been one to follow, and I'm equally as proud of him. Our two daughters, unfortunately could not be here today. Maya, who's our oldest daughter, who's our third child, she's a pastry chef with the Cowboys, so her and Brett work closely together every day. And my youngest daughter is Olivia. She's a mental health professional. She advocates for young children. And you talk about the way that she interacts with children and their mental health and their behavioral issues is outstanding. I'm equally as proud of them as well. I love talking about my family, just so you guys know. Thank you. I love talking about my family. I say that because our family represents, the meaning of family unity and stability. So God has really, truly blessed me. He really has. My youngest daughter, Olivia, on Father's Day, she kind of gave my wife and I some titles. Angela is the glue to our family. She kind of holds together, she's the communicator. She unifies everyone. She's our spiritual leader and gives us guidance that way. And she told me that I was the rock, the strength, the provider, and she's right. But it all starts with Angela. Just so you know, it all starts with Angela, and it ends with Angela. She has done a tremendous job with our family in terms of raising our children. Every now and then I would show up and pitch in and help out raise them, but I tell you what, she did it by herself, to be quite honest with you, especially when I was a player. Now that I'm coaching, there's just not a lot of time for me to be at home. And she did an outstanding job, and I truly, truly thank you, and I love you very much. In closing, I like to share something with you guys. 5 principles from my reflection after reading the story of Joseph in Genesis 37, 12 through 36. It really simplifies. It's simply talking about how Joseph was able to overcome some of the obstacles in his life because he was sold into slavery, and he persevered. He kept his faith in God, and he never wavered. Even during the circumstances that were so insurmountable, that he kept his belief. And my reflection of that is, there's 5 principles that I took from this. Count your blessings every day. Proclaim whatever you feel that's important to you. Go another mile, which means don't ever give up. Because I was never, ever treated as the first choice, as what was indicated here earlier. And then choose wisely of your power of choice. And do everything with love. And probably all 5 of those, my lovely wife instilled those into me. And we kind of live that life every day. I'm talking so much about her because I just truly, you guys just don't know. She is amazing. Ask those two boys right there.
He ain't lying.
They know it. They know how important she is to our family. I really do. I love you. Thank you again for allowing me to come up and speak my piece on today. I'm really, really overwhelmed, to say the least. John, my frat brother back there, it's always good to see a good face. Somebody that you're close to. A lot of the men that are in this room. Bear Bircher was here in 1985. Ro Brown was here, still hanging, man. I like the gray. I love it. I think my time is up. Thank you.
We were counting hairs earlier, and I told Brett that he has about 7 more than we saw him in the fall, so it's all good. As for Roe, he's long gone in that regard, so it's all good. Our second honoree this year is another former member of the secondary, more recent, and of course he's one of our own, born and raised and grew up in Louisiana, in South Louisiana, and was a really good player at Port Allen High School. Then we exported him to the Midwest, Indiana. The Saints found him there and drafted him in the 2nd round and brought him here, and that turned out to be a pretty good move. And by his 2nd year, he was firmly established as a starter, and by that 2nd year, the Saints were firmly established as a really good football team, won their first 13 games, and could have won more, just looking back at the end of that season, but they were gone for the big prize, and that was the right approach to take in retrospect, and clearly it worked out. And the large reason it worked out was because of what this guy was able to accomplish on the field. We talk about it all the time. There's good players, and then there's playmakers. And the guys that are playmakers are the guys that make the difference between winning and losing, between being a contender and being a champion. And the Saints became a Super Bowl champion largely because of what he was able to accomplish on the field. And we were there on, that night in the Dome, and Saints were really good in the first half. Vikings were an excellent team, were really good in the second half. And it wasn't looking too good with the tie game and the Vikings having the football and driving. And then our friend Mr. Favre decided he was going to throw across his body. That wasn't a really good idea with 22 roaming around back there, and he made a heck of a play to come up with an interception, which put the game into overtime, and the Saints, of course, went on to win with Garrett Hartley knocking one down the middle from 40 to send us to the Super Bowl. And then, of course, when you get to Miami, we remember a lot about that particular game. There's a lot of things you can talk about. But in the end, the thing that really made the difference, once again, the opposing team was driving, this time for potential tying score with another Hall of Fame quarterback whom we knew pretty well. And they decided they were going to go for it, and he had a premonition. He made a tremendous read. We know the rest. He stepped in front of a New Orleans kid, Reggie Wayne, who was thrown by a New Orleans guy, Peyton Manning. He picked it off and returned it 74 yards for a touchdown. All I remember is him last 10 yards holding the ball out, and I'm just saying, don't drop it, don't drop it, whatever you might do. And I can't speak for the fan base. I'm born and raised here, and I love the New Orleans Saints. My whole life has been this. My parents, initial season ticket holders, we still own the tickets. My sister was an original Saints dancer. My wife was a Saints dancer. Covered the Saints for 40 some odd years, did Saints broadcasts, run the Saints Hall of Fame. And the emotions at that time, I was crying. And I'm sure I wasn't the only one. It was pretty special because we sat here our whole lives and we're waiting for something like that. And the people in this organization, including the people in the front row here, I'm going to recognize to help build that. And then this guy went out and made these plays, right? And of course, the Saints won the Super Bowl, and that's something that will always be the richest moment in the history of this franchise. And he was the richest part of it with the plays that he made. He was the playmaker, and he's a Louisiana born and bred guy. And it's so good to have him back in town here today and to announce that our second honoree for the Saints Hall of Fame class of 2025 is Saints quarterback Tracy Porter. Tracy?
Oh, well, how's everybody doing? First, man, I just want to say thank you to everyone that had a hand in allowing me to be at this podium in front of you today. much like Brett, man, it's a bit overwhelming. I mean, and you can wonder how that is with playing in front of 70,000+ every week, but to be recognized by your peers and men and women that you see every single day, and they think the highest of you, you can't put a value on that. So for everyone, like I said, that had a hand in getting me to this point, thank you. I really appreciate it. But I must say, though, that if you would have told me when I was a young kid that I would be at this point, I wouldn't have believed you, because football was not my first love, believe it or not. I actually had dreams of playing basketball. But as you can see, you know, being vertically challenged, you know, you had to find another avenue. But like I said, God had other things for me. You know, he put me on the football field. It's becoming more and more common now, but at the time, playing 2 years of high school football and then trying to get a scholarship to go play in college and then make it to this point was rare and kind of unheard of. But it was a transition that I made, and through the help of the vets and the coaches along the way, and Mickey and Coach Payton, them guys, and Dennis Allen, they taking a chance on me and bringing me back home. It speaks volumes. So I'm very appreciative of that, of you guys giving me my opportunity. And in saying that, I have to tell a little draft story, if you guys don't mind. But once the draft was going on, I remember sitting at home with my mom. She was in the room. My girlfriend, who was my wife at the time, Devin, she was sitting beside us, and you know, the first round went by, and like every player that enters the draft, they're hopeful of the first round, but there are only 32 picks. So those picks went by, and the second round came, and I just happened to be, you know, kind of, I guess I'd just go ahead and take a nap, so to speak. And I remember hearing the 40th pick come up, and it happened to be the Saints. So I'm laying there, and I'm kind of like, you know, I should have went first round, so that didn't happen. But once I seen the 504 number pop up on the phone, I had to look at the screen again. And I'm just, you know, simply telling myself, like, this can't be happening right now. So I answered the phone. Lo and behold, Mickey's on the phone, Coach Payton's on the phone. They're asking me, am I ready to come to New Orleans and play some football? And I'm pretty much saying, well, yeah, Coach, it's about time. So, I mean, like I said, that was a moment. It would have been easy for me to say, hey, Mom, hey, Devin, you know, I'm getting drafted, but I wanted her to enjoy the full experience. So my mom, she was just sitting there watching the TV. She saw the pick, and I was trying to whisper on the phone and not allow her to hear me, but she was, you know, still just looking at the TV. And then once the pick came in and she saw my name go across the screen, you would have thought that she got drafted. Because she started to cry. I went outside. We lived in an apartment complex, so I went outside, and it's like the whole entire neighborhood came in front of our building. So I was in my small town of Port Allen. Mickey, you know a little something about that, but the town is so small, and everyone, you know, they stick together, they know each other, so the support that they had a hand in getting me to this point as well. So I definitely have to shout out, you know, my hometown of Port Allen. But in getting here and getting to this point and coming into the facility, I was young. I didn't know the ins and outs, so I had to follow the veteran leadership. And I had a good group of guys from Vilma, who was man in the middle of our defense, to Drew on the other side of the ball. He would come in and help me as well. So I don't want to leave anybody out, but I know it's a lot of people that played a hand in me getting to this point, and I want to simply just say thank you. Much like Brett, my wife is the glue as well. She's been here from the beginning, since I was in college up until this point. I have my 16-year-old, Samari. She was the 1-year-old when we ended up winning the whole thing. Like I said, man, just being here puts a smile on my face. Once I got the call from Ken, It wasn't expected. You know, I thought you were just calling to shoot the breeze, but once you dropped the news on me, much like getting drafted on that phone call, man, I thought it was too good to be true. But, you know, I started to get more calls and people, you know, they were congratulating me as well. And I wanted to announce it, but they said, hold on, man, you had to wait until June. So, you know, I had to tell my mom. She's not on social media, so I don't have to worry about her. But I told a lot of close friends and family. And hey, man, I mean, this is a huge opportunity. This is a great thing that you guys do for us. We need more of this, of, you know, guys coming back, the veteran guys coming back and being a presence for the younger guys that are coming in, to show these guys, you know, what it takes to become a pro, because I had to learn that. You know, it wasn't all peaches and creams here, Mickey. You know, we know everybody, you know, players, the young players, they have their ups and downs, but to know that Mickey and the rest of the Saints organization, they stuck behind me, that spoke volumes. I mean, I'm homegrown. I let anybody know from day one that we have the greatest fan base of all 32 teams. No one is touching us, hands down. Man, it's a lot I want to say. I know I don't have much time, but coming into that NFC Championship game, we had one thing on our minds. We lost the last 3 games of the season, and you hear all the whispers of everyone saying, hey, no one has won 13 straight, lose their last 3, and go on to win the Super Bowl, let alone go to the Super Bowl. Well, so much for that. But the NFC Championship game, man, we're playing, it's a hard-fought battle going back and forth. We're forcing turnovers. Those guys are keeping the game close. And I remember just before the interception happened, you know, we were in the huddle, we're calling the play, we're looking up, and, you know, some of the fans they're starting to leave because time is out. They think they're going to come in and kick a field goal, and then the Vikings are going to go to the Super Bowl. But lo and behold, not Peyton, I'm getting ahead of myself. Brett, he tries to throw across his body. The rest is history. And after that, I remember hearing that everyone that left the dome was trying to turn around and come back in once we were going to overtime. So it was just a great experience playing here week in and week out, man. The way the fans turned out, the way the support from the family, from the team, from you guys in the Who Dat Nation, man, it was unbelievable. I'm very appreciative. I know I probably left some people out, had some things that I should have said that I didn't say, but it's just being here, being in front of you guys, man, it's unbelievable, bit overwhelming, but I can't do anything but smile and tell everyone in here and everyone that had a hand again in having me get to this point. I just want to tell you guys thank you, and God bless you, man. I appreciate it.
He'll talk about the Super Bowl later, I'm sure. So it's all good. Every year when we go through the process, we make it a point to call some of our previously inducted Hall of Famers to get some thoughts. And I make sure that I call the people that would have known these guys best. You know, in the case of Brett, Jim Mora, and, you know, calling Vic Fangio and talking to these guys and getting some real thoughts about the players. And, of course, they were wholeheartedly endorsing Brett and talking about what a heck of a player he was, but what a good person he is. And then, of course, with regard to Tracy, talking to Sean, and, of course, if you call Sean, he's going to keep you for 20, 30 minutes, which he did, and it was good. And then calling Mickey and getting their thoughts, and, of course, their thoughts were 100% behind Tracy being inducted. With that, I want to also recognize Doug Miller, Saints Vice President, who's here today and is a friend and a great guy, and we'll have him over on the Gulf Coast here the next couple of days. Dennis Lauscher, the president of the Saints and Pelicans, born and raised, and has done a phenomenal job, and we're all extremely happy for him and proud of him and what he's accomplished. And, of course, Mickey Loomis, who I referenced, who's a great friend of ours, and he's been really supportive of everything we've done to recognize the best in franchise history, and continues to do an excellent job here in this process that you call the NFL, and I think that good things are sure to come, but we really appreciate all these gentlemen for what they've done. And, of course, Gail would be here today today, but it's time off right now, and she'll be there in the fall, I'm quite sure, when the induction takes place. And the same thing with Kellen, who's been great, by the way, for everyone thus far. Final order of business today, our media selection committee is responsible for nominating and selecting our Hall of Famers and the Joe Gemelli Fleur-de-Lis Award. The Saints Hall of Fame has never presented any other award because we've tried to protect the shield and the legacy to make sure that it was special and not to branch out too far and try to create things that really didn't have any place. This time it was really unavoidable. Our board of directors, many of whom are here today, and the idea was hatched by one that's sitting in front of me as we speak, wanted to do something special for a very special person. Now, with the Saints Hall of Fame Museum, we previously, we constructed a wall dedicated to Steve Gleason because we thought that much of him as a person, as a player, and he's one of the 3 or 4 best special teams players in the history of this franchise. And also what he has done with his life. It's unimaginable to even consider what he has been through, what his family's been through, and to even comprehend that. And for people of faith, it's very difficult, but we have to lean on that because we understand that there has to be a purpose. I'm not really grasping it, but I know there has to be one. Steve has done so much on the field, and I mentioned earlier we had him at the Hall of Fame Museum in the Dome, as we had for so many years with players making appearances before the games. Right after he retired, we had him, and he was as gracious, if not the most gracious person we've ever had. And he was so popular with the people, and he was so full of life. And it was something special. I still have pictures from that, and I look at them, and it's amazing. And I try not to get down about things when I recognize what's transpired since then, because I know he wouldn't want that either. But our board of directors decided that we wanted to create a special award. It's not an annual award by any stretch of the imagination, not unlike the Ring of Honor, which is an annual. It's very special and reserved for the elite of the elite, which the Saints do a great job with. So the board decided that we were going to create the inaugural Saints Hall of Fame Courage Award. I think it speaks for itself, trying to describe what it is. Courage in the face of adversity. We all face adversity in our lives. I can't imagine anyone facing more adversity than he has or his family that they have endured. And he's here today and continues to be an inspiration to so many people. And with what he's done beyond football, and what he's done in this community, and the monies that have been raised through him and in his name, it's absolutely astonishing. But it speaks volumes about the character of the individual. It's somebody that we love and cherish, and we've prayed for immeasurably over an extended period of time, and will continue to do so. So it's my pleasure, based on our board of directors, to announce that we have bestowed the Saints Hall of Fame Courage Award upon the one and only Steve Gleason, who's with us here today. I want to recognize him, and I know he would like to communicate something. Steve, congratulations.
Hi, I'll be brief. Thank you. To the Hall of Fame committee, thanks for inventing another award. And I'm grateful for the example of the people of New Orleans for their courage. And I'm happy to be here with these fellow honorees. Thank you to Mickey and the Saints organization, and finally Ms. Gale. Thank you for your support and love. Mostly, thank you so Michelle, Gray, and Rivers. You're my motivation every single day. May we all continue to lead with love. Peace out, Girl Scouts. I love Yale.
Thank you, Steve. Two things. Number one, the actual induction will take place in December. Jay, I think it's December 14th game. Is that right? Correct. So it'll be that weekend. We know that now. And so if you want to include that, that's fine. It'll be the weekend of the December 14th game at home that the Saints play. We'll have our induction lunch and gala, and then, of course, honor these guys at the game. And then secondly, as mentioned before, the induction actually takes place in December. It's not today. Today's just the announcement. So just for clarification purposes, make sure of that. Last but not least, they'll all be available for one-on-one interviews. We figured you'd much prefer that than trying to shout out questions and not having enough microphones. So they'll be here and ready for you to take them. But once again, let's give them all a round of applause for the honor today. Thank you all for being here. And again, they're available for one-on-ones. God bless you. Thank you.